So for the stereo, a traditional stereo card is approximately 3.5 inches tall and 7 inches wide. So it's 2 squares, basically. We don't have to do them that way, but if we want to make them easy to fit in the viewer that I've ordered that hasn't come in yet, should be here today, then we want to probably make them 3.5 by 3.5. Now, that's a detail that I probably should have shared with you all before we went out and photographed. But we could always make them less tall if you need to keep the width. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the crop tool.
For any of them?
For any of them what?
For any of them you're grabbing crop tool, like,
Yep.
does it matter which one you
For these, to make just the plain old stereo card, we're just going to crop them square. Now, that's if you can crop without making your photo look terrible, right? So I'm going to grab the traditional crop tool. Now, I should say if you were taking pictures of architecture, you could use the perspective crop tool to tweak things if needed. My image that I had of the staircase here, I fixed it because it looked like the railing was like tipping. And so you could use the perspective crop tool, which gives you sort of a grid that you can align to things. Let me just make this bigger real quick and I'll show you what that would look like. So if I draw in a box and I say like wanted to line up some sort of line, I could grab just one corner and align things, if that makes sense. So if I wanted to, I don't know, match the perspective of the building, which is totally not something that we need to do with this image, but I'm just saying if you wanted to, this would be an option where you could correct the perspective. I'm gonna put quotes around that. Correct the perspective while you're doing it. For our purposes, for anyone that was really outside and the camera was relatively level, I think just using the crop tool is fine. So I'm gonna type in 3.5 and 3.5 in my, for my cropping. And how do you undo it if you don't like it? Hit Command Z. Okay. Now the crop tool, if you want to, you can click in the middle and drag before you crop it. So in this case, I'm going to actually do that to more center us. But it's your call as to what works for your purposes. And I'll say that, well, let me do it this way first, and I'm going to do it on both pictures. Okay, and I'm going to try and line up my crop about the same. Okay, wait, you know what I should say is, if you want to keep that parallax difference, meaning the distance between the cameras, all right, I gotta escape out of my crop there. We probably should just leave the crops centered. Does that make sense? That way that shifting left to right remains. Okay, we're gonna have some difference in vantage point if we went ahead and cropped to align them, but we really don't want to align them for this purpose. For the red green, or for the red blue, we do want to align them.
How do you know it's square like the way you want it?
So if you typed in 3.5 and 3.5 in this top bar right up here, that would do it. Does that make sense?
Width and height?
Yep. So if you type in 3.5 and 3.5 in the width and height, it should crop them. I mean, you could do one by one, but we're demoing with your image.
Oh, really? Oh. I can wait. Sorry.
Yep, no worries. All right, so I'm gonna just hit return to crop them. If I had any editing to do, I should do that, of course, before I finalize this. But to finalize it, all that I'm going to do, this one is very, very simple,
Okay.
is I'm going to extend my canvas size to make room to fit them side by side.
I lost my image.
Hit Command and 0. Okay. Now hit Command Z. So I think what it is you're on pixels. Yep. So change it from pixels here to inches. And actually, if you all have a resolution box, put in 300 for your resolution, because that'll be one step that we would be fixing later.
And this pixel inches.
Yeah, that's fine. 300 there. Yeah, so type 300 in this box then. Oh, and actually, if it's, all right, so it's saying it's keeping the PX, so type in 3.5 and then a space and then IN. Or just delete the PX and put IN. Alright, and then hit enter and see what it does. Oh, you know what, it probably needs to do crap, so Command 0. And that will zoom you out. Oh, it's not. Let me see this for a second. Oh. Okay, there we go. Now, okay, I'm gonna switch back to the crop tool here though. Do 3.5. And I'm thinking, well, we should just leave it as centered. Right there. Just click here. Should. Yeah. There we go. Now you should be good.
So that one I got it from the side to get that large.
Yep, that's fine. I mean, you don't see it on this one, but it'll show in the final version. Okay, so questions? So, I'm gonna do workspace. You know, so it's fine like that, and then we'll size down the resolution. So I would brighten this one up. And just do a right and do a little bit darker. Okay, y'all with me? So you're now cropped to 3.5 square. What we're gonna do is we're going to make it 7 inches wide, but you gotta figure out which one you have, left or right, right? So mine are aligned correctly, meaning that the left one is on the left and the right one is on the right. When I was recording this earlier, I had them switched and then I had to fix it. But I can, I can tell that there's just a little bit more space on the left here, and there's, I don't know, is that a door handle or a fire extinguisher or something on the right? So I'm going to just grab my left one, and I'm going to go to Image, Canvas Size. I'm going to switch it to inches. What? It's not making sense. All right, before we do that, we'll redo our resolution. I was thinking we'd save ourselves a step and do it after the fact, but I guess we're gonna have to do it before the fact. So instead of extending my canvas, I'm gonna go back in here and go to image size, and I'm gonna fix my resolution. So you can see how it distributed the pixels, and it's at 72 dpi. If I just switch this to inches, you're going to see it's 48 by 48 at 72 dpi. That's not what we want, but I shouldn't have to.
Is that 13 or 13?
It could be all sorts of craziness. Yep. We all will probably have a different number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to uncheck resample first, and I'm going to type in 300 for my DPI. Then I'll check resample and type in 3.5.
Where's DPI?
Sorry, resolution.
What did you type?
So 300 resolution, and then 3.5, and it should set the other one to 3.5, one of the dimensions. So in the end, you should have resample checked, 3.5, 3.5, 300. Yes? Yes? All right, hit return. Then go to your other file and do the same. So it just is, it's shrinking it down, throwing out the resolution that we don't need. Good? So it's image size. To get to that, 3.5, 3.5, 300. Good, 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 good. Not good?
Why is it so small now?
That's fine. So you did it for both of them?
I did for both.
Okay, then we should be fine. It's small, but we can zoom back into it if we need it bigger. But it's throwing out resolution, so it's actually making the file smaller, which is exactly what we want to do because we don't want to give too much information to the printer. It'll just print faster if we don't. Now, if you want to zoom in to see it, you can hit Command plus to zoom in, or even Command 0 to make it fit the screen. Whatever you want to do. Oops. Get rid of this third file. I lost my other file. Anyone have that problem? If you do, all you got to do is go to Window and find the file name at the bottom here. And then it'll pop up. So there's my two files. Good? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on, just mentally, I always start from the left and go to the right. I think it's because that's how you read a book. And I'm going to go to Image, Canvas Size. Now when I switch it to inches, it should be 3.5 by 3.5, and I'll make it 7 for my width. And the important thing here is that we need to tell it which direction to push the canvas. If I just hit enter, it's going to put 1.75 inches on the left, 1.75 inches on the right. And that's not going to help us. We want it all on one side. Since I have my left image, I want it all on the right. So if I click on the left side, it will then point all the arrows to the right, up or down, and nothing to the left. And when I hit OK, it will give me a white box that is equal in size to my original photo, which is perfectly the right amount of space. If I grab my Move tool, which is the top tool, click on my other photo, drag it over onto my first photo, and hold down Shift. When I release, it will perfectly center it, which is not the final position, but it is aligning it up, down where we want, and we're going to shift it to the right. And give me 1 second to just finish this, and then I'll come check on everyone. So if I hold down Shift again and I drag to the right, it's going to snap to the very side when I get it there. And our final product should look something like this, where we see both images side by side on one print, but duplicated essentially. I'm going to stop recording.